Okay, so the last video I posted was about the stock to flow model showing a surge to $40,000, and so I went on to check to try to find any information about it. I couldn't find anything. I sent a message to the person who coded this stock to flow model to work on TradingView. Haven't gotten a response yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. Everything else about Bitcoin seems to be normal. There doesn't seem to be any disruption in Bitcoin supply, so we'll see. I'll update that other video when I find out more about this. In the meantime, this is the prediction chart that I had briefly shown in that same video, although it was not about this chart. This chart I made out of basically putting together all of the predictions that I've heard over the past several months, and I just made a range up here. So this shows where it could potentially end up, anywhere between $120,000 to $1 million. And I think we all know where the $1 million prediction came from, that being John McAfee. This also assumes that assuming that this goes in 4-year cycles. Now, there's been word floating around that there's also the potential that it's not a 4-year cycle, that it's cycles that are getting larger and larger and larger. The first one being, I think it was a 2.5 year run or cycle, and then the next one was 4 years, so that would put this one here at, I think, 5.5 years. So I try to put together a model based on that information, and this is what I got. Oh, and I also used a growth curve that I've seen on a couple videos too. Anyways, from where we're at, we'll probably ride along the bottom here, maybe jump up. According to this, we'll actually break the all-time high at the turn of between December and January, but we'll actually come back down a little bit. Of course, you got to take this with a grain of salt, because there's no way of predicting the exact trajectory of Bitcoin's price throughout a certain period of time, let alone one point in time that it's going to be peaking. And speaking of that peak, this chart's going to show a peak of up to around $150,000. The last chart shows anywhere between 120,000 to 1 million, so that the last chart predicts the likelihood of a much higher price. But this one, $150,000, that's still not bad. If you buy in now, that's what, 20x? Oh yeah, that's good. 20x from the current price of now. Not talking about the last peak or anything like that. Now, $7,000 to $150,000 is actually 20x, maybe 21x. Yeah, give or take a few bucks. But we'll see. The only way we'll be able to actually, by the time this next cycle plays out, we should be able to determine which path this is following, whether it is actually a 4-year cycle or the cycles are getting longer and longer and longer. We just have to wait and see. Once we have the end of this cycle happen, we'll be able to know where to go from there. And profit. That's all I got for this one.